Everyone, and welcome back to this series focused on interactive approaches in your online classes. For this particular focus this week, we'll look at some apps that you can use out there or websites that allow you to conduct online interactive brainstorming sessions with your students. So when we're talking about brainstorming apps or programs, we're talking about ways that they could be groups of students in your class or it could be your entire class, could work together collaboratively to brainstorm ideas for a project, for a discussion board on a particular topic, or maybe even for a final project. So we'll look at the series of tools out there that are available. And just to keep in mind, some of these will be outside of Canvas itself, so you will have to sign up for a site. These are all free to use, so that's kind of the good news. And what I would recommend, like anything else, is when I suggest these resources, take a look at them and see if some of these will work for you. Do you like the interface? Do you like how they provide features for you, and so forth, and then decide if you want to incorporate that in your class. So we'll go through a set of these. The first of these is to remind you that last time in the last video, we had a focus on the interactive whiteboard. And just as a reminder, to create that interactive whiteboard, I went to the site called Canva. And if you go to Canva, you would want to look for the section of documents called Online Whiteboard. And there are a series of free ones that you can choose. So when you find the one that you want to use, you can click that one. And then if you wanted to, you could hold a live Zoom session. And let me just click this here. And this is called Brainwriting. You could change all the titles of these to whatever you wanted them to be. And then the idea is then you could work through your class with ideas. These could be prompts, these could be discussion prompts, these could be topics or context for a project. So what you could do then is save this particular file either as a video file if you want interactive movement by clicking the animate button, or save it as a PNG high quality graphics file. Open up your Zoom class. Once you do that, you would in real time using the annotate tool collaborate on this. And so that was last time when we talked about the interactive whiteboard, but just keep in mind that Canva has opportunities for you to create whiteboards as well as brainstorming, tiles, and so forth. So the first new one we'll look at this week is called Mural. And I will be sure to share these URLs on the video here on YouTube. So just scroll down and you'll find those at the bottom. So this is a digital workspace for visual collaboration. So you can see here groups of people can work together on brainstorming ideas. And these could be graphic in nature. These can involve text. These could involve even multimedia or websites. For all the brainstorming tools you'll see this week, you could use a slew of different types of media ranging from video, websites, URLs, text, of course, geometric objects, almost like sticky notes as you're seeing on the screen here. So all you'll do is click on Start Now for free. Once you do that, you can sign into your account. And you'll have a series of choices. So I could have a mural. This is one I worked on before, but if I want to, I could click on Create New Mural. And I could choose by type of category. So I could do something like an icebreaker, empathize, brainstorm, design, evaluate, plan, and so forth. So if I find one of these that I like, I could click on these. And I'll just pick one of these, Team Canvas. You can look at these and see if it's going to meet your needs. And in some cases, they'll have instructions here for you on the left side. In this case, they don't. But this is the canvas, and this is the way that you work through Mural. I'm not going to go through each of these apps or websites in depth. So if you like one of these, once you sign up for the free account, poke around and see how it works. But what you can see in the case of Murals on the right-hand side, it zooms through almost like a Prezi, that type of format. So this is the outline. It allows you to zoom in, and any of these are editable. So that is easy just to work with, and you can click on any object, and once you do that, a whole a menu here will open up that allows you to change fonts, to do shading, to include links, and so forth. And then just keep clicking on these on the right hand side on the outline, and then this way you can easily zoom to all the sections. You could also zoom out at any time, and there's a zoom settings on here at the bottom right. So that is Mural. So again, my recommendation would be to sign up for the free site and then look at some of the templates. You can always create something from scratch. If you do that, you would just click on blank mural. And then this will involve a little more of your customization. So you want to just become familiar with the tools that you'll be using. And you see these on the left-hand side, shapes and connectors. Pretty full-fledged. And again, there's a lot of formatting options you get when you click that actual object. So you could create anything that you want here. There are icons, which are kind of cool. So those might be a way to spice things up. You could do images. There's a content library, and you can import files from your computer. So really full-fledged, like a lot of these programs you're going to be seeing this week here in this video. Now the second one, we'll move away from Mural. Let's go to another one called Padlet. Okay, and these are all, again, very similar. Our goal here is to try to allow teams of people to collaborate real-time or asynchronously offline. I haven't showed you a lot with Mural about sharing, but all of these have full-featured sharing options. In some cases, that may involve an email share. If that's the case, it's a little more challenging perhaps than doing that directly in Canvas. But if you did this live, you could use any of these diagrams or apps I'm showing you today, and just you could be the typist, if you will, working on it live. As we get through some of these, as long as people have the ability to access their email and you share it with them, then you could have collaboration either synchronously or asynchronously. So when you get to Padlet, again, you'll create an account. Once you do that, click on Make Padlet, and you have some choices here. You see different options for a grid-based, a timeline-based, a map. Let's look at the map one just to see what that looks like. I haven't checked that out yet. In some cases, there's information or choices here on the right-hand side. Again, all of these are different. So we could try posting here. Let's just see what happens. And it's almost like Google Maps. So we drop a pin here. And this would, I guess, just allow you to create points on a map if you wanted to do that. So, you know, for classes I teach, it might not be useful, but if some of you wanted to plot certain historical points of emphasis through geography, you could do that. If you're teaching a geography class, you could click points of interest, and then maybe you could hyperlink to that. Like if you were doing a map of the national parks, people could visually see where the parks are on the map, and then they'd click the pin. The pin would take them, say, to the official government site for that national park. So that would certainly be an option. And so what I'd recommend is when you go to the Start menu here in Padlet, to really look and see what your purpose is, what type of application you have in teaching a specific concept in your class, and choose a template based on that. So I think for me, I would probably choose a Canvas style here. So select objects that maybe have a kind of more geometric approach to them. Information here on the right-hand side to choose, and then I can hit Start Posting. I'm going to click for Padlet, at least the plus button, and then this is where I get a series of choices. So I can type something here. I could type a description, and then if I just click the mouse away, that appears, or that stays rather, after it appears. And then I can move this anywhere I want. I can resize things based on what's there. I can always go in and edit this. If I wanted to, I can add a URL. So if I wanted something very specific, a website, I'll just pick the first one that comes to mind. So I could choose a news website, and I would just click on that, enter the URL, hit save. And then what's kind of cool about this is then you have the information available at the bottom, and then you click on that and it takes you to that particular website. So another way to think about this is it could be a quasi mood board. If you're familiar with mood boards are often used in the design world before a project is created. So if someone wanted to create a new restaurant, they could have a series of these Padlet icons. And then they could write a description. For example, if they wanted a particular style of chair in their restaurant, they might create a box here with a chair, upload a graphic of that, or it could even be a mood of something. So maybe it would be like a Polynesian theme. There would be particular images then that would be shared in these particular grids, and then once you have all those set up with that mood board, it kind of orients your design team towards the final task, which is creating that restaurant space. So what I might recommend is you mess around with this. I like the ease of it because there isn't a lot to learn with this. You just have these basic boxes. Again, you can add an image if you like directly from your camera if you want to do that, or you could upload an image. You can pick a file from the computer. So a lot of options there. So if you decide to go with Padlet, I think you could, ask your students to work collaboratively on a particular project as you're brainstorming or developing something. Again, it could be small groups, it could be the larger group. On any of these that I'm talking about today, if you click on the share icon will ask you in this case to add members. If they're not signed up for the site, there are other ways where you could copy a link or a QR code, embed it in your blog or website, share on Twitter, Google Classroom, or email. You can also at any time export any of this as a spreadsheet, a CSV, PDF, image, and so forth. So really up to you as far as how you might want to use this, but if you decide to get a collaborative group going together, just play around a little bit with how you can share. And again, I'm not going over this because every one of these sites has a different approach to share, but just find that share icon or button on the site that you're using for brainstorming, and it will definitely give you a sense of what you need to do. So that is Padlet. Next, let's go to Google's product. It's called Jamboard. And this one, if you have a Google account, you can just sign in, and you just have to head to jamboard.google.com and you'll be there. So as I will do with these other sites, it seems to be like this is the universal, the plus sign inside of the plus symbol inside of a circle. I'll click New Jam, and I'm getting this blank canvas, a white page to work on. So then on the left hand side I have various tools, and we can go through these. I have a pen tool, so that allows me to draw things on the screen. I have the eraser tool. I have the select tool. I have a sticky note tool. And I really like the sticky notes because it's very similar to what we see in the design world, where folks will often brainstorm in a physical space, and they'll put sticky notes, different colors, different shapes, different fonts, pen colors, and then they try to work through that and have the team members go around from all of the groups combined and vote on things or decide on things and so forth. So I think personally the sticky note is really good if you're trying to get groups of students to brainstorm about things. You can also select any kind of file from your camera, Google Photos, Google Drive, upload, and so forth, even an image search, so a lot of options there with images. This will be your geographic tools that you can use. And anytime you double click, in a lot of these cases, your choices should come up. In the case of the geometric shapes, again, if I want a triangle versus a circle or a square, I can choose that. If I click on it, I can have some options here about the orderings, bring to front, bring forward or backwards. So similar to like in PowerPoint or in the old days Photoshop or OmniGraffle, where you might want different layers and you want some things in the front and some in the back. So that's your options to do that. You can also duplicate an object and have that available there, and you can rotate things. And so quite a few choices. At the top you have some formatting choices. So if you click on the fill, very similar to the icons are self-explanatory. That's the fill color. This is the outline color, so change to blue. I can also choose my zoom in or zoom out, so if I want to get big or small, I have that option. This is your text choice bar, and again, just keep going to the top here for setting the background on any of your items, like including the background of this whole board. I didn't want to do that. If I keep hitting Command or Option Z, then it's the undo, and I can keep going back if I make a mistake. So that is your text choice if you want to use that. And this last icon is like a laser pointer, so this allows you to momentarily emphasize something. And so this could be good again if you were doing this in real time. So keep in mind the option with all Google Docs to work on them collaboratively through sharing. So anytime you want to share, go to the sharing option. This is similar to all the Google Drive, Google Documents, Google Sheets. You decide the level of privacy. Once you decide that, you can just decide on whether you want to send a link or share it with someone through their Google account. So the laser pointer would allow you in real time to circle something and then it goes away. So it's a momentary effect on the screen. By the way, at any time, if you're interested, you can Google Jamboard reference tools, and this tells you exactly what all of the options are in Jamboard. So highlighting recognition tool, which is kind of cool, shape recognition, auto draw, laser pointer, Jamboard glossary, has all the information. What I like about Jamboard is it does kind of what we're talking about here, create an opportunity for a brainstorming board or even an interactive whiteboard, or an opportunity for something like a mood board that you can use in your projects or your class discussions to spark ideas. And it's not super hard to learn and use, both for you and your students. Again, it's something you can use outside of Canvas, but I don't think it's that hard to incorporate as an external site or app that your students would struggle with it. So that is the overview today. I just went through these 3 options for you. Going back 1 week, we talked about Canva and creating an interactive whiteboard that you can use in Zoom in real time. You could also do it asynchronously. We talked about Mural. We talked about Padlet, and then finally we talked about Jamboard from Google. So if any of these work for you, let me know. I'd be curious to see how you're using them, if you decide to use them. If there's a lot of interest in using some of these in our classes, we could hold a workshop on a Tuesday or some other day to discuss these more in depth. So thanks for listening today, and I will be back with more videos in this series focused on interactive approaches for your online class.